So I get this question all the time in my new comic book day hauls. Why do you buy so many new comic books? They're not going to be worth anything in the future. What do you do with all these new comic books? Well, guys, I'm here to answer that question. And yeah, I do buy a lot of comic books. In fact, here are all the books that I have, and probably most of them are all new comic book day books, right? Except maybe some Spider-Man, Spectacular Spider-Man, Web of Spider-Man. I do have my classics. People say I don't buy back issues. I do. They have accumulated over the years, right? But yes, most of these comics are new comic book day books. So what do I do with them? And do I regret spending all of the money on these comics? And the answer to that question is absolutely not. I love new comic book day books. I mean, the short answer here for one is, say I wasn't even a YouTuber, right? I love reading comic books. Sometimes, they're bad, and sometimes they're good. But I just enjoy reading in general. When I was a kid, I never used to read at all. And then comics came into my life, and then adding the pictures to it just made it a lot of fun. So what actually adds to the hobby is this YouTube little gig that I do, because one of the things that I couldn't do when I was a kid was really discuss comic books with other people, because there wasn't all that many people in the hobby. I had a few selective friends, but you want to tell more than maybe one or two people, right? And since we were blessed with YouTube in this world, I feel like now when it comes to a comic YouTuber or just fans in general of comics, we can share our thoughts and opinions and do live shows and have this wonderful thing that I always wanted to do when I was a kid. So whether a comic is good or whether a comic is bad, I just love sharing all that information with everybody. And I think some of the great conversations are comics that honestly are bad. I mean, you see a lot of negative reviews out there. They tend to get the most views, right? Now, I'm not a very negative person. I don't like to always say that every single comic book is bad. Even when a comic book is bad, I try to point out the good in it and just guide you guys away from those poor comic books, okay? But overall, I love reading the comic books, good or bad, and then share my thoughts with you guys. That's kind of why this YouTube channel exists to begin with. When I started YouTube way back when, I want to say 10 plus years ago, yeah, that's how long this channel has been around for. It took me a while to get a footing on what I truly wanted to do and experiment on YouTube. I've done all the stuff that you've seen on YouTube. Comic book collections, obviously the haul videos, the unboxings, all that other stuff. And I just found my little thing. And it may not be the most popular thing, but I feel like I help the comic book community. So for me saying that buying these comic books are a waste is not a waste, okay? The next thing why I like to buy new comic book day books is because that, for me, I don't go into it with a mindset of going, oh my God, these books are going to be worth money. Never in my mind do I go into a comic shop buying new comic book day books saying it's going to be worth money. The number one thing is that if it's worth money in the future, then that is a bonus, right? I know people that just go out there, spec on books, flip books, will spend $200 on a book and then try to sell it for $250. If that's your gig, that's fine. That's just how people are, But for me, again, I just buy a book to read it, and if it's worth money in the future. For instance, during 2021 or 2022 or 2020, we got Ultimate Fallout worth like, $2,000? I was never going to go out there and spend that money and then try to flip it. Could I have flipped my own copy? Yeah, absolutely. But My own copy, I spent $3 on New Comic Book Day. So you just never know, right? I'm not saying go out there and buy 4 or 5 issues of one comic book, but you just never know when one could catch fire. One's like Spider-Gwen, you know, that was another one. There's quite a few New Comic Book Day books that have caught fire and are worth something today. But if your expectations are, man, modern day books, New Comic Book Day books are going to be worth a ton of money, then you're going to be out of a lot of money and you're not going to enjoy the hobby and you're going to be salty and you're going to say, screw comic books. That's just the way I look at it. If you buy New Comic Book Day books, enjoy them for the stories. Now, some would argue the stories are not as good as the comics were back in the day. Well, it's all opinionated. Again, that's what makes this hobby so much fun, okay? New Comic Book Day books, modern day books might be different for you, but for a younger reader, this is where they start. Just like for me, the 90s is where I started reading comic books. So sometimes you got to have that open mind going, hey man, this is just the way the comics are written. In your head, it might not be good as it once was, maybe for you when you were younger, but everybody has their own jumping on point, and for them, when the hobby is fresh and new, this is what they really like, right? And they always will go back to that original run or that when they were a kid or something like that. For me, as a New Comic Book Day reader and trying to be optimistic about books, do I feel that some stories are not as good as others in the past? Yeah, I'm in that boat. I'll vouch for Spider-Man because I've read a lot better stories, in my opinion, in Spider-Man's past than the last probably 2 writers on the book. Okay, so yes. But again, it's like I said, it's all opinionated and everybody starts their comic journey at a different place. So that's why I don't like when people say, oh, these comics are trash. Everyone is at a different place in their comic journey, okay? So that's why I feel like you got to have an open mind when it comes to New Comic Book Day books. Overall, I just really enjoy the hobby. I just really love talking about it. And then when it comes to New Comic Book Day books, what do I do with them, right? Do I feel like I lost out on all that money after I spent it and I done talking about it and things like that? You know what? No, because what I do annually is I have a garage sale and I gotta binge that collection. I already have about 15, 16 short boxes for sale. I have them anywhere between 50 cents and $1 an issue. If there is a book that I truly don't want to keep in my collection, or I feel like other people can enjoy it more, or maybe couldn't afford it when it came out, then it is my honor to sell that comic to you for that cheap price. And every comic is going to come bag and boarded because, again, I want someone else to enjoy that content, you know? I mean, it's just that simple for me. Plus, I got to make that room in this freaking garage because it definitely is one of those things where space is limited. That's the unfortunate thing of when it comes to comic books. So guys, at any time, if you love this video and if you love the content, please hit that subscribe button. I'm always bringing you daily comic book content. Those are just my thoughts on what New Comic Book Day means to me. It's definitely not a waste of money. Like I said, my whole YouTube channel surrounds off a New Comic Book Day when it comes to the issue 1s, when it comes to the new comic books, the events that are coming out, and I love sharing that information with you. So I try not to stress about the money I dump into it. I try not to stress about the collectability of it. I just try to enjoy and read all those stories. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. It's okay if you do, and it's okay if you don't. There is no wrong answer here. Just sharing my thoughts and opinions on people writing comments about how much money I spend on New Comic Book Day, and do I feel like I'm wasting that money. So as always, guys, there's more content right here for you to click on. And of course, support the local comic shops. Keep buying, keep collecting, but always remember, read those comics so we can have great comic conversation. Guys, thank you so much. I'll see you real soon. Bye.